recording this episode on Monday night, May 19th. I feel like every Tuesday lately, Taylor Nation's popped off with something else. This time it wasn't Taylor Nation popping off, but something happened after we finished recording this episode.
Look What You Made Me Do. Taylor's version was used for the third time.
So we recorded once and now we're recording twice. Make sure to stick around to the end of this episode for more on Look What You Made Me Do Taylor's version. And here is the rest of the episode that we recorded before we got that snippet. Welcome to Hits Different.
Lee hee hee. I'm Ryan and that's Molly.
In today's episode, we're going to fill you in on why Taylor Swift's name keeps popping up all over the news for things that have nothing to do with her music.
But you know what does involve her music? The AMAs, an event that has pretty much all Swifties on board the clown train.
Choo choo. And Taylor was active on social media this week, plus a fun Travis clip. We have so much to get into today.
Make sure to subscribe on YouTube or follow us wherever you're listening to this podcast.
We got a big boost to our subscriber count last week. We are closing in on 26,000. Our goal is to get there by the AMAs on May 26th, which is coming up this Monday. So go click that button. And if you're already subscribed, you can also join our YouTube memberships. Or if you want to watch ad-free, you can join our Patreon channel. The link to all of this will be in the description of this episode. If you didn't see the news, Taylor was active on social media this week. She liked a TikTok from Natalia Bryant, who is Kobe Bryant's daughter. Taylor has a well-known connection to their family. She actually gave the 22 hat to one of the Bryant kids in the Eras Tour movie that's on Disney Plus and actually at the show in LA. Natalia used Taylor's song Nothing New on her graduation post from college at USC.
Solid song choice by Natalia. Also, their relationship is so cute and I just love how supportive Taylor is. And congrats to Natalia for graduating.
Travis Kelce attended the 15 and the Mahomies charity event over the weekend, and they had this auction where there was a signed Taylor Swift guitar, and Travis started bidding on it.
And then another 15,000.
I just realized I have that.
Travis has that one already.
We love a supportive king. And Travis is so cute, just out here representing Taylor in all places and trying to boost up them donations to the guitar. I see what he did there.
I know, right? He's like bidding on the guitar and then takes a seat, like, wait, I have this at home. Y'all keep bidding. It's like, okay, just remind all of us that you're like King Swiftie over here. You don't need this, but you still wanted it anyway. We love a supportive partner. Last week, we updated you on Taylor's name being involved in the Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively legal battle. And after we recorded our episode last week, there were more updates. So in case you missed our episode from last week, we talked about how Taylor was subpoenaed by Justin Baldoni's lawyer. His name is Brian Friedman earlier this month. And in response to that subpoena, a spokesperson for Taylor released a statement saying that Taylor was not involved in the film other than licensing her song My Tears Ricochet, and that the subpoena is designed to use Taylor's name to draw public interest and create tabloid clickbait instead of focusing on the facts of the case. Lawyers for Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds then also tried to block the subpoena of Taylor. And in response to that, Baldoni's attorneys argued that the subpoena was necessary. And on Wednesday, May 14th, they filed a letter and affidavit citing an anonymous source that said that Lively's attorney, quote, demanded that Miss Swift release a statement of support for Miss Lively, end quote. And Baldoni's attorneys alleged that, quote, if Miss Swift refused to do so, private text messages of a personal nature in Miss Lively's possession would be released.
Additionally, the filing stated that, quote, Lively requested that Taylor Swift delete their text messages and that a representative of Miss Swift addressed these inappropriate and apparently extortionate threats in at least one written communication, end quote.
Blake's attorney asked the court to strike the documents as unnecessary, improper, and abusive. They said, this is categorically false. We unequivocally deny all of these so-called allegations, which are cowardly sourced to supposed anonymous sources and completely completely untethered from reality.
Blake's attorney goes on to say, "This is what we have come to expect from the Wayfarer party's lawyers, who appear to love nothing more than shooting first, without any evidence and with no care for the people they are harming in the process. We will imminently file motions with the court to hold these attorneys accountable for their misconduct here."
The judge in this case, Judge Louis J. Lyman, granted the motion to strike this letter on Thursday, May 15th, calling the letter and affidavit improper and said that it must be stricken. The judge wrote, "It is irrelevant to any issue before this court and does not request any action from this court. The sole purpose of the letter is to promote public scandal by advancing inflammatory accusations on information and belief against Lively and her counsel. It transparently invites a press uproar by suggesting that Lively and her counsel attempted to extort a well-known celebrity. Counsel is advised that future misuse of the court's docket may be met with sanctions." So to sum all this up in some non-legal terms for you, essentially Blake and Ryan are saying Taylor does not need to be subpoenaed. That is also what Taylor's team said last week. And then Justin Baldoni's attorneys were saying, no, she does need to be subpoenaed because of this accusation that Blake Lively tried to extort Taylor, and that's part of the reason for the subpoena. And they submitted that via this letter. Then Blake's team tried to have the letter stricken from the record, and the judge agreed that the letter was improper and should be stricken from the record. So although the whole public now knows about the accusations in this letter, it will not be admissible in court. If there are any other updates in the Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni lawsuit as it pertains to Taylor, we will absolutely be keeping you guys posted here. And for our final note of Taylor Swift news that doesn't actually involve Taylor or her music, the President of the United States decided to post about her again online. This has happened a couple of times, and again, we haven't covered it on the podcast because we try to stick to things that are related to Taylor's music. But President Donald Trump decided to say last week, "Has anyone noticed that since I said I hate Taylor Swift, she is no longer, quote, hot?"
And for anyone wondering, she's still hot. We would like to report. So that is all we will say on the matter. Go watch Vigilante from the Eras Tour.
You can put us down for people who still think Taylor's hot. I don't know if my clown knows this time for this transition, but it's time to take another trip down Clownelia Street.
I'll always walk Clownelia Street again.
I'll spare everyone our singing from last week, but the countdown is officially on. The AMAs are Monday, May 26th, less than a week away. They'll be airing at 8 p.m. Eastern on CBS, and we will have a live stream on YouTube right after, probably 11 p.m.-ish Eastern time. So come hang out with us after. We'll talk about whatever happens in the show, and that will actually be in place of our episode for next week because we usually record our show on Monday nights. So by doing the live stream, that will take the place of our weekly episode on YouTube. And if you're an audio listener, we will be publishing that audio to you as soon as we can turn it around. So if you listen on Spotify or Apple or anywhere else that you might get your podcasts, you will still be able to listen to that live stream.
In the latest Taylor Nation susness, and every week we are reporting on this, and this week they popped off. So first up, we have the Taylor Core reel that they made for Swift Day, which apparently falls on the 13th of every month. And I was not privy to this. Seems really conveniently timed that they were going all in on this. If they promoted it in the past, they definitely did not do it like this, where they're like all eyes on this reel. And the reel included what a lot of people were saying was 12 clips, but we have counted and counted again, and it is actually only 11 clips. So we can't give you the TS12 Easter egg susness there, unfortunately. But it's a lot of random, yet seemingly probably not random at all clips.
Yeah, there were clips from the Jimmy Fallon show. There were clips that Taylor's posted on her social media before. There were some behind the scenes clips. And the most suspicious thing is that there were 3 different clips that referenced Karma.
Which of course we're coming up on the 2-year anniversary of the Karma remix music video that happens to land on May 26th, the day of the AMAs, which is just a very fun yet sus coincidence. And yeah, 3 references to Karma. It's giving Debutation 12.
With Karma Vault tracks.
For those who didn't watch our last episode, yes, that's the new term that I'm coining that no one is going to repurpose. But we had Debutation and now we've got Debutation 12. And it's giving 3 albums. I don't know. I'm reaching. She also had a clip where she said, you can't spell cats without TS. And some people are like, TS? Like Taylor Swift? Like Taylor Swift Taylor's version?
Like debut?
Like debut. The sound in between the clips with these like jarring like black screen where it's like Taylor core. Like to me, it was giving Ready for It. The like,
ooh.
I don't think anybody else has said that. And it's a little reaching. It's not the exact sound, but that's what it made me think about. It's like the and it's black. I mean, what else would the slate be? I don't know.
With white text. Yeah.
Oh, like a newspaper, like Reputation, we're reaching. But the triple mention of Karma had me thinking once again about the man wall. And also in our last episode, we talked about the Karma truthers, which to reiterate are those who believe that Karma is a lost album that came between 1989 and Reputation, and that it's still out there and that we're still going to get it. But I was just thinking about Karma in general, like the song and the music video again, that haunts my dreams, which we've also talked about, has 1,000 Easter eggs in it, some that we still don't know what they mean. Karma coffee cup to be one of many. And it had me thinking about how Karma really is like the center of like all of her re-records. I know we've been talking about that and it's obvious, but it really just feels like with this Taylor core video too, it was like kind of like bringing that back like full circle. It's like Taylor talking about being a solo songwriter. She got her doctorate. Like she's, you know, you have the iconic quote from Miss Americana where she's like, oh, like, sorry, was I being too loud? Like in the house that I bought, the music that I wrote.
The songs with the lyrics about my own life. Yeah.
Yeah. Like she's just popping off.
That clip so much.
Yeah. And like the lover era, I don't know, it like is making me think about that's the first album that she owned. And it's just like, it's giving very like, I don't know. I feel like things are coming full circle and we are on the cusp of these final re-records, but obviously it's impossible to really like make it make sense, you know?
Right. And again, full circle with the AMAs as well, because back in 2019, when she won Artist of the Decade at the AMAs and she performed there and she wore that shirt with all of her stolen albums names on it, could we be full circle now? Is she going to be reclaiming those final 2 albums anytime soon? Could that be an announcement that's happening at the AMAs? Maybe, just maybe. And the other thing, because I feel like in the last couple of episodes, we've been leaning towards TS12, but then there's now, in this last week, I feel like just been a lot that's still hinting back at the re-records. And the other interesting note about 526 and the Karma music video is also that 526 is the first time that Taylor played Getaway Car on the Eras tour and she brought Jack Antonoff out to sing it. That's just an interesting note. When we were talking about 526 2 years ago being the Karma music video release on the Eras tour, we talked about that in our last episode. We didn't mention that part and I hadn't thought about that, but it is an interesting note.
Yeah, it's interesting because I try not to hold too much weight to the date because the AMAs used to be in the fall, and with the network switching over from ABC to CBS and like all that shuffling around, it's like, I think I'd read that they only knew the date like of February of this year.
Right.
So unless she has like some inside scoop, which maybe, because I don't know, she's famous. Like, does she really, do they really give them like 3 months notice?
Taylor, when can the AMAs be so that you will come?
Do they really give her 3 months notice? Because that seems like not enough time to be like, by the way, you free on Memorial Day? It's like, I guess. So I don't know. I try not to hold too much weight on that because of the recent change.
Very
fair.
It
is just weird that there are, per usual, things just adding up as they do, you know?
And the voting came to an end last week. So as Taylor Nation was trying to promote this final push for voting, they posted asking, what kind of AMAs voter are you? They posted 5 different videos. One of them said the voter who doesn't jump in until the last day. Another said the voter who makes their BFF join them. The voter who logs on religiously. The voter who shows up to every Turbo Day. And the voter that presses submit just before the day is over. And these all had different clips, again, like BTS, some from music videos, some from the Eras tour. They're just doing the most for this AMA's voting promotion.
They're like trying out all different kinds of things. Like when they did the reel with the Taylor core, and now they're like creating this other edit. I'm like, did someone just get a new job in social media and is like, look what we can do? And they're like, pop off.
Or they just came back from their like 2-month break post Eras tour or something. You guys have had a couple months off. All right, it's time to really like dive back in with the content creation, you know?
Make it make sense. You're like, what does the clip that they use and the one-liner they used have to do with one another, or do they not?
I kind of think
the
these
voter
were just
who logs
funny.
on religiously. I mean, I guess, is that supposed to be like the keyboard?
No, that's when she's rehearsing. It's like the BTS from rehearsal of the Eras tour. I think that's her typing on a typewriter.
Oh,
remember when we first saw that clip?
We thought it was a piano.
Out of context, we thought it was a piano, and then because it was before we knew about the Tortured Poet set being added, so I think that's what she's doing there.
Well, her hands are going like this. I'm like, is that how one would type?
For anyone who's listening, I don't even know how to describe it.
Like
but
the claw. Yeah. She's neither typing nor playing the piano with clearly
yeah, she's just moving her hands.
You're right.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess that makes sense. And so there were 5 clips again, which I told Molly, I was like, oh, the 5 Hansas. She's like, what do you mean?
I know. I'm like, wait, I know the 2
What's 5 have
Hantas.
to do with anything? What's a 5? I'm like, within the realm of Taylor Nation sussness, which now feels like it's been going on for a minute. Little things keep like popping up that will have a 5 in them, and we know that like a 5 is like 526 for the AMAs. That's it. It's not that deep.
The first thing I thought of when you said that was how at one point on the Eras tour during 22, Taylor used to hold up different things. I remember at one point she flashed the 5 aggressively. Yeah. That's what I was thinking of. I'm like,
do I know? So I made a TikTok about it. I sounded crazy. Actually, I should go back though, because I'm like, does that have any relevance? Taylor years ago flashing the Eras tour, talking about the AMAs on 526. No.
I think that was just in the fall when we really started paying attention to that. Yeah. There are so many times that our old like TikToks and stuff like that come back around because we're like, wait, what were we clowning about with that? Oh, yeah. Okay.
The burden of things having not manifested yet is like, can research using our own research. What were we saying? Oh, yeah, that was pretty smart.
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah. What about the outfits? We won't get into it. It's triggering. Okay. There's so many
favorite
things.
Though was recently we were digging back in our notes and I found that after Tortured Poets was announced, because I think it was announced on February 3rd of 2024, and there had been all of this about Exile ends and Exile ends in 3, 2, and we're like, wait, did her Midnight's exile end and the Tortured Poets era began? She went through the breakup and she was free. She was fresh out the slammer. Was the exile ending? Like all of that. And I'm like, somehow after we talked about that at one point, right when Tortured Poets was announced, we moved on from that instantly. And within months, we're like, we're still waiting for Exile ends. It's like...
I mean, yeah, because she made the reference years ago. Oh, not that long ago, I guess. But like now, years ago, 2022 or no, 2023.
It was the Bejeweled music video. It came out in the fall of 2022. Yeah.
God, 3 years ago. 3 years ago, almost. We can't be referencing things from 3 years ago. Why?
But we are, because the next thing that Taylor Nation did last week was post about the 3-year anniversary of Taylor giving a speech at NYU for their graduation. And they posted these wise words from Dr. Taylor Swift. Again, wallpapers, I guess is what you call them, but just like, graphics with lyrics and photos of Taylor. And they had these wallpapers for every single album that she owns. not the re-records. So there was no quote wallpaper from Taylor Swift or Debut, and there was nothing from Reputation.
That kind of makes sense because, you know, there are times where they're like, we don't speak of those albums because we don't own it.
The albums that must not be named.
Also, in our last episode, we literally were talking about how some people thought that Taylor Nation was doing a countdown with these dang anniversaries. And here they are celebrating another anniversary that it's like, this time last year, we were not celebrating this, right?
No, but also because this time last year she was on the Eras tour.
I know,
you know,
but still, it's weird to make it a thing when it's never been a thing. It's like, we know it's the drought, but come on. If it's going to be an anniversary, that means we have to celebrate it from the rest of time. You know, we're not breaking up with this speech. So like, are y'all committed to this, to a lifetime of all these anniversaries? Next year, we're going to be like, happy anniversary to Lavender Haze music video again. 6 years. No, what? Not 6 years, whatever it is. It's like, y'all doing too much.
The speech in itself was Easter eggy. It was airing during the middle of a work day, and I know some of my coworkers listen to our podcast, so I'm outing myself here, but they won't be surprised. During my lunch break that day, I was live streaming the NYU speech, and it was so good. I was tearing up at my desk like, oh my gosh. And in the speech, Taylor used lyrics that would go on to be Midnight's lyrics. She said stuff like, breathe through, breathe in, breathe out. And like, the cool thing is you're on your own now. All this stuff that ended up being Midnight's lyrics. At this point, we didn't know about Midnight's at all. So the fact that they're even celebrating this, again, to me, that's suspicious in itself because that speech was suspicious. We just didn't know it at the time.
Also, the songs that they chose to reference was very interesting. Ending the wallpaper slideshow on Peter, which is like technically track 12 from the anthology. They also reference Innocent from Speak Now, which is track 11, but they use the lyric that apparently they changed the lyrics, which... Why?
The lyric in the song is, I hope you remember today is never too late to be brand new. And in the wallpaper, they said, I hope you know, instead of remember. I hope you remember. They wrote, I hope you know today is never too late to be brand new. This wallpaper is the only one where they change the font. Like the other wallpapers, they keep the same font and it's kind of like, you know, the album font. And in this one, they have one font for the top for the I hope you know today is never too late. And then brand new is in cursive. Brand new. See you next era. New era.
It's in the Speak Now font, like the exact same font that she uses like for Speak Now on the album. Also, the track that they end on being Peter, the quote they use is referencing the moon and galaxies, which Swifties have been clowning about, like all these star references and from the merch and it goes so deep at this point. All we see is stars, and that's where like the July 4th, one of a million reasons why we're clowning for that date. Will this next album be related to, you know, astrology? Also in the Karma remix music video, there's a ton of astrology in that. And it's like, we've just been teased with this for a while. So we're like, this has gotta be the theme of the next album. But like, it's not like a galactic album.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I've always found these theories interesting because to me, for a long time, anything stars and galaxies and whatever just was kind of Midnight's to me because it plays into the theme of Midnight's being like middle of the night, and with the middle of the night, the stars are in the sky, whatever. I feel like there was a lot of that type of imagery, such as like in the Lavender Haze music video, there in the very opening sequence, there's constellations and like star signs. Like there was a vinyl with like the Sagittarius constellation or whatever on it. So to me, there's always reference that, but you're right. There are still star references that have happened since we've moved on from Midnight's. The merch was weird
when they dropped that and started putting like starry stuff with like Reputation, other stuff. It's like, to be fair, Taylor is an astrology girly. It's like, you know, literally the lyric from Call It What You Want, starry eyes sparking up the darkest night.
And that's one of the things they put on the merch last year. Yeah.
It was weird. It was notable. And once again, they're doing the most. Why? Why?
Yeah, I saw people celebrating the 3-year anniversary of the speech earlier in the day. And then in the afternoon, Taylor Nation posted about it. And at first, I just assumed they were joining in because a bunch of other people were already talking about it. But then when I saw the wallpapers, I was like, oh, they went in on
They
this
came prepared.
celebration to come up with these other wise words from Taylor Swift with these lyrics from different albums and albums that she owns, none from the ones she doesn't own. And it's giving she still has 2 re-records left.
And I didn't have time to add up the track numbers, but I'm sure it equals something sus, you know? If anyone out there did, let us know. I'm sure it equals something really annoying and like, oh, just equals 12 or 13 or whatever, you know.
And again, we're recording this episode on Monday night, May 19th. I feel like every Tuesday lately, Taylor Nation's popped off with something else. Like the Taylor Core video that we already talked about was posted last Tuesday. So if anything gets posted, we'll definitely post about it on our social media at It Hits Diffpod on Instagram, and let us know in the comments of this video what you think of whatever might happen between when we're recording now and when this episode comes out on Wednesday. But there's just been so much. And then the last thing that I would never have noticed this myself, but people started noticing on social media, is that Taylor Nation updated their social bios and they added official TS social team to their bios across all of their social platforms. That was not there before.
What did it say before?
It still kind of has all like the other stuff that was there before. It just, they added it to the bottom. So I think it was like a link to promote tortured poets and stuff like that.
Why do they need to like disclaim that? We know. I'm like, who are they telling that to?
So people think that they added this because this is a very hopeful Swiftie theory. Okay. In the past, when things have happened in the Taylor world and when there's been big events or things like that, such as the Eras Tour movie premiere back in the fall of 2023, Swifties got reached out to on social media. They would get a DM from Taylor Nation inviting them to this event. I think that's the same way it went down with the secret sessions back, 1989, Reputation, when the secret sessions would happen. And so people think maybe they were adding this to the bio because what if you're like a parent of a kid who gets reached out to or something and they're like, what is this? And it's like, this is Taylor Swift's official social team. It's like legitimizing their account. A bunch of people have been posting, I'm available anytime. I would pick up the phone if you called. I would fly wherever. If you're reaching out to anyone for any events. And, I just would like to go on the record and say that Ryan and I are also available. So
Oh, we are very available for the right reason, aka anything Taylor Swift related. Yeah, that's really interesting. I never would have noticed that. That's definitely sus. Official TS social team. Also, I feel like I would have called myself something different if I were them. I don't know, like Taylor Swift's posse or like Taylor Swift's, I don't even know. Social team's just so watered down. It's like, y'all are much more than that. You're basically Taylor.
Responsible for clowning all over the world.
And, now that the voting is over, I do wonder what this next week will look like. Because now we no longer have a purpose, right? They've used us up and we have voted and we have done what we can do. And now we are off the hook. So, like, are they going to go ghost the next week and be like, tune in, or are they going to promote?
Yeah,
like,
they're going to promote.
You don't need to tell us
the
to
broadcast.
watch. That is the last thing you need to tell people to do. That is all people are going to do. Are you kidding me? I'm literally rearranging my Memorial Day plans to be sat for this. And you're like, you have a podcast. You should do that anyway. It's like, yeah, but still, it's Memorial Day. Okay. Sunshine. I need it. But I will be sat. All right. I will be sat for this. Hopefully she shows up.
Please pray to the takeout.
Otherwise, I'm going to like angrily DM Taylor Nation and be like, why? Why'd you do this? Taylor didn't do this. You did this. Why? How could you? How could you?
They're like, we never promised anything. We just asked you to vote. Okay, calm down.
But you made the reel about all the times Taylor's been to the AMAs and when she thanked the fans. Didn't that mean she was going to do that again this year?
She still could do that and not go, though. We could be getting another pre-recorded video like we did at iHeart. Mm-hmm.
No. People have also talked about like, you know, Travis potentially being there. It's like we could once again clown for that. Red
My
carpet
heart's not
debut.
in it. I can't
know.
clown for that again, you know? And if it happens, it'll be amazing. But at this point, so the 15 and the Mahomies charity event was in Vegas and the AMAs are in Vegas. I'm like, is Travis really going to go to Vegas for back-to-back weekends?
I mean, what else is he doing?
I don't know. Maybe he just
Come
stays out
on.
there.
You act like it's a normal inconvenience. I'm like, what else is he doing? Like, what is she doing?
He's got to get
Vegas
ready
is
for the football
fun.
season and he's got a podcast, you know?
He has time.
Do you have any other predictions? Anything else you want to throw out there?
I know.
feel like Taylor Nation's fully confused me. I don't know what I'm clowning for anymore.
I know. Last week, you know, as the resident clown prophet, TS12 was in the room. And then now this week, I don't feel TS12 right now. I'm like, it is giving debutation 12. Like I've read comments about people like coming out of the woodworks being like, I haven't clowned in a while, but I'm back and I'm clowning for this. And like everyone's clowning for something different. No one knows what exactly they're clowning for. It's kind of like a very like unifying time. And then after this, we're back to the drought. So until July 4th. But we're all going to be united.
It's
whatever
a very
happens.
fun parasocial event for everyone to be like, all right, I'm paying attention to this. And I will just say, because I feel like we don't mention it enough, that to me, still the most obvious things to clown for is a documentary about the Eras tour or just the re-records in general, depending on like how long the documentary would span of time. And then the Eras 2.0. She was recording those final nights in Vancouver. What was that for? That could have been for the documentary, or maybe we will get a new version of the Eras Tour movie with the Tortured Poets set. Either of those things are on the table. It doesn't have to be an album.
I do know that they have been pushing a lot of BTS footage lately, which it's like, I know it's just easy to reference, but I mean, the Taylor core, especially with the Miss Americana clip, which was like her last documentary, and then the BTS clips from the music video, and then obviously like, what kind of voter are you? That was BTS footage. So like, we have been getting a lot of that for a while now. So a documentary makes total sense.
But
I thought she was going to announce it when she won Tour of the Century. So, you know, and she didn't. So I'm like, why would she announce it now? You know? And I guess we're just going to be in the Tortured Poets era until forever. I guess, well, this is our last award show. This is it. Like, it will not be nominated
This should be
again.
the end of awards season.
So that's also crazy. Like, we're literally at the end of the Tortured Poets era. Even though we're still living in it. It's significant.
It's interesting because the documentary, I told Ryan this the other day, the documentary is something that Taylor could sit on for years. And if it came out a decade from now, behind the scenes of the Eras tour, it would still do crazy numbers. So if she could release it now, she could release it in the future, and it's not really going to matter. We would just love to see it sooner than later. That's all we're saying. Okay.
Yeah. Expediting that isn't necessary unless she's just trying to shut us up. She's like, psh, no music, but here you go.
Oh, were we wrong? I mean, we got more music. It's music that we've already heard before, but literally right after we said all of that, we got more music.
We manifested the hell out of that. You know, we have really cursed Tuesdays now, and that is not what I was expecting. Thank God for the time difference, because literally I'm 3 hours behind Molly, and it was like 11 o'clock my time, and I just happened to pop onto TikTok, and the first video that popped up was the video of The Handmaid's Tale and using Taylor's song, and I thought it was fake, and I was like, I'm so sick of this, like, because you know TikTok's a dangerous place, and I like didn't even listen through. I was like, I'm sick of this. I need to verify this. And I ran to the rest of the internet, and it was very quickly confirmed. And I was like, oh my God, oh my God. And then I was texting Molly, and she was asleep. And I was like, Molly, I was like, ah.
It was 2 a.m. Eastern time for me, and I woke up on Tuesday morning to OMG, Molly. And if Ryan texts that, it's serious. Okay.
Just Molly, no context. And then if she had been awake, it took me a while to finish saying what I was saying, because I was like, how do I even get this out? And I'm like, I got to give her the right link and like all of that. But she was asleep, so it didn't matter.
The time difference is so funny because Ryan stays up later than I do anyways when we were both in the same time zone. But now it's like we're ships in the night, because she'll end up going to bed shortly before I wake up. And then we have to shout out Amir too, because Amir is on UK time and he was messaging us on Instagram like, I hope that I'm the one to tell you this, but like this dropped, blah, blah, blah. But then you were still like already awake or still awake. And it was just so funny. Like the chaos of the time zones and where you were when you found out that Look What You Made Me Do, Taylor's version, just aired for a third freaking time.
And I was behind. Like, people knew as soon as midnight struck, because that is when the episode was released on Hulu, episode 9. It like went out, spread like wildfire. And I was 2 hours behind. And like, thank God I found out before I went to sleep, or else I feel like Molly and I both would have been like, it would have been the opposite, where I would have been waking up to Molly being like, oh my God, did you see this? At like 4 a.m. my time. And I would have been like, what now?
Well, I'm sure if you're an actual fan of The Handmaid's Tale, then you were freaking out because it was in the opening sequence. And this show has been airing for a long time now. We're going to get more into some of the numbers in a bit. But like we've already been referencing, this is now the third time that we've gotten Look What You Made Me Do, Taylor's version. The first time that we heard it was in the theme song of the show The Wilderness back in August of 2023. The second time was in a show called The Dynasty in March of 2024. This is now the third time we're getting it, and it was in the opening sequence of this episode for The Handmaid's Tale.
And I thought it was the longest snippet we've gotten, but then I forgot about the Dynasty release, and we're pretty certain it's like the exact same length. It's like 2+ minutes, whereas the theme song was only like a minute-ish.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like funny because all three of those usages are so kind of all over the map, you know? It's like The Wilderness isn't really a popular show. The Dynasty is very niche unless you're a huge Tom Brady fan or like big sports fan. And then The Handmaid's Tale, like, this I think is the best usage she's done so far. I'm like, this made the most sense. It was an iconic 2+ minute scene. It was perfectly placed.
Yeah, I agree. I think if you're not familiar with the point of the show, Look What You Made Me Do fit in pretty perfectly with the theme and with some of the other things that we had already talked about in the episode. So it was pretty good timing. And the other really good use of a Reputation Taylor's version song was also Delicate. That was actually the very first Reputation Taylor's version song that we got. And that was used in The Summer I Turned Pretty back in August of 2023. So that was actually the very first one we got. Beginning of August. A couple days later, Taylor announces 1989 Taylor's version. And then at the end of the month is when we got the Look What You Made Me Do snippet. So again, this is why we've been thinking Reputation Taylor's version was so close to being released for so long, because we've already heard these songs. And just to dig into the song itself, ever since that very first clip aired on The Wilderness, people noted the differences. This is always the conversation that comes up when we're talking about the Taylor's version versus the original re-records, is that people will notice differences. And it is intentional. Like, it's supposed to be different. But in the Look What You Made Me Do snippets that we've heard so far, everyone's talking about the do. Look
what you made me do.
It does not have the same emphasis, I feel like, that it does in the original version. Or maybe it's just like the live version of the Eras tour even that I'm thinking of. Like the do seemed harder. Like, look what you made me do. And now it's more of a look what you made me do. Like, did I even do it? I don't know.
It's like a Dua Lipa. You just have to listen to it to get what we're saying. But you're like, what? Speaking of what, people are stoked about that part. The what? It's like a scream almost. And it's very crisp. And of course, we haven't gotten the full bridge because it wouldn't really make sense in any of the ways that we've heard the song, because she says her name, obviously, like the old Taylor can't come to the phone right now. But it's like, also, you got to save the goods, you know? We can't have all of it. Ugh. So if she's saying like what like that, she's probably going to be like, the old Taylor can't come to the phone right now. Why? Yeah. Why?
Like how she did on the Eras tour. It was always so dramatic and so perfect.
Know.
Why?
It has to be
she's
dramatic.
Dead. Boom.
It is dramatic. And we can't hear that phrase until we get Rep TV, because if you think about it, the old Taylor's not dead. She's still, I guess, alive and well. Like, if you think about like the OG Rep in this case, like the old Taylor is dead, but now the old Taylor to us is like the OG Reputation. She's still very much alive, because where's Rep TV? So we can't get that because that Taylor's still alive. So we gotta wait.
She tried to kill off the old Taylor when she released Look What You Made Me Do originally, and then the whole re-record thing started, and so then she had to start re-embracing old Taylor.
I know. She's like, wait, am I the old Taylor now? The old Taylor? It's like very meta, you know? Yeah.
I will say that although I noticed the difference in the do's, and I definitely noticed the difference in the what, and the production in general, I think the more that I've listened to it, because I listened to it a lot today, just replaying that scene over and over, the more that I listen to it, the more I get used to it. And I think that's just how all of the Taylor's versions are. You know, you've had these albums. At this point, we've had OG Reputation for 7.5 years, coming up on 8 years. You get used to hearing it a certain way, and you have to get used to hearing it the new way. So I think everyone just needs that time. If you're feeling like, oh, there's this difference, like, and especially once you get the full album, hopefully people are not going to hyper focus on like these little things that are different. But I do also want to point out that Taylor literally does have to change the way that these sound. Like,
legally, yes.
Right. She's going to anyway. She's going to want to enhance the production. Obviously, her vocals are different. But during the re-record process, not only does she have to have the new artwork and things like that, but things need to be different between the original album and the new album in order for it to be within the rules of her doing the re-records with her original contract.
Plus, like, we don't want the exact same thing. And like, nothing is ever going to be the same as the original. And it's unfortunate, you know, if you're missing the originals, like for the re-records that we do have, it's like, well, I can't really help you there because like you're not supposed to be listening to them unless you actually own the vinyl. But like, I think the point is that the new version's so good that you don't miss them, which for me, that's been the case. I'm not even thinking about like the OG 1989. Like, I'm living in the present is one of my favorite albums of hers. So, you know, it's just a snippet. Plus, the last two we've gotten have been interspliced with other sounds from the show. We only got a clean version from The Wilderness, and it was only the little minute. So it wasn't interspliced with other sound effects. So
there's like explosions happening in this and all of that.
Yeah,
so
people talking, I think. And like, you have Tom Brady talking over the other one. So you don't really get to like hone in to be like, okay.
Right, to have the full thing. And the other fun note about this is that Elizabeth Moss, who's the lead in the show and also one of the executive producers of the show, she said they've been wanting to use a Taylor song for years and that she felt like this was the perfect place to finally do that.
And of course, you know, being the clown that I am, it's worth noting that Elizabeth's quoted, "It's such an honor to be able to use her music in the final episodes of our show." I know it's clowny and maybe she just misspoke, but it's like she didn't need to say which episode, but she said plural. The finale drops a week from this release. So that would be midnight after the AMAs. And I'm just saying, I don't know, you know? And we're about to get into
What are you saying?
I'm saying the timing's a little weird. We're about to get into the numbers and why there's a lot of other susness around this besides just the obvious. But that is, you know, that's kicking that off of like, all right, she said episodes. There's only one episode left and it's the finale. And if you're going to pop off, it's going to be the finale. Episode 10 coming out May 27th, the day midnight after the AMAs.
I personally think in context, she just meant she wasn't going to say, I was so glad to be able to use the song in the second to last episode of the season. She just meant like to be able to use it before the show ends in one of these final episodes. And that's why it's plural rather than hinting that she might use another song.
She didn't say one of, she said in the final episodes. That's very definitive. Not one of.
I see why you're getting what you're getting from it. I'm just giving you the alternative option.
The rational. Unless there's a part of her where maybe she didn't know which episode because, you know, like when you're shooting the episodes, you don't know it's episode 9. You're like, I know this is towards the end. I don't know where this, whatever, but all I'm saying, sus. Proceed.
The other sus things that happen, and I'm going to be honest, I don't understand why at all, is that the clip was posted to the Handmaid's Tale social accounts and everyone was sharing it. And then later in the day on Tuesday, it got taken down. And they're not the only ones who deleted something in relation to this. UMG, which is Universal Music Group, Taylor's record label, said the first taste of Reputation Taylor's version has arrived. Taylor Swift's Look What You Made Me Do Taylor's version made its debut in the latest episode of Handmaids on Hulu. And they've deleted that.
Also, using words like first taste when that's not true. As we just said, this is the third time. How does Taylor's record label get that incorrect? And then them also using the word debut, like, don't you know that's a triggering word? You can't be saying that word. So we got like a first taste in a debut, Taylor Swift, Taylor's version, first album playing on a Reputation song. It's giving debutation. Also, again, UMG, like, how do you get that wrong unless you just like, I don't even know, like maybe first time on the job social media person is like not a Swiftie and is like, oh my God, it's like, girl, delete that. That is incorrect. That was like me yesterday when I posted on our story, and I like the first thing I posted, I was like, this is the longest snippet we've gotten. And I was like, delete, that's incorrect. But you just want to like jump to like, oh my God.
Yeah, the first taste of Reputation Taylor's version was in August of 2023 with Delicate. So this is the fourth taste, the third taste of this song and the fourth taste of the album overall. And I'm assuming that that's why they deleted it, is because it was incorrect. I'm going to not clown too hard about the fact that they took it down. I do think it's interesting that the Handmaid's Tale account took the social clip down. Maybe that's a copyright thing, because I don't think the Taylor's version of the song is available on social yet.
It's not.
But still, it's interesting. And then you pointed out something interesting about the YouTube link that was from the official Handmaid's Tale account, which is how we were watching the clip originally.
Yeah, when we say Handmaid's Tale account, we mean Hulu. So it's Hulu's account. When I was fact checking last night, when I didn't believe it, the first thing I saw was an article by Variety. This link has also been put out in the Billboard article and a bunch of other articles. And it was a link to a YouTube clip of this snippet on Hulu's account. And it's unlisted. It's still unlisted. It was unlisted last night when I saw it. It's still unlisted. So if you search it, not available on YouTube. You can't actively seek it out to listen or watch, but it's there if you know the link.
Right. We'll put the link in the description of this episode. And if you can still see it, then it's still unlisted.
I reposted someone who reposted the video on social last night. Someone got it from somewhere and probably just like screen recorded it, and it's out there now. So it's like, you can't roll this back now. And also, by the way, if you have a Hulu subscription, hop onto Hulu and you can watch it for real, like, which I also did. I still didn't believe my eyes. I was like, I verified it. Yeah. It was one of the first things I did before this is where we're at. Never have I ever like fact checked so hard something that shouldn't be needing fact checked.
I'm so proud of you.
Yeah, I was like, I can't be going on our social being like, guys, oh my God. Well, Molly's asleep and she wakes up and she's like, girl, they got you again.
It's like, this was fake.
They got you. I watched literally half a second of the TikTok video. I was like, this isn't real. And I ran elsewhere and I was like, oh my God, it's real. My heart was racing. I was like, it's real. It's real. What's happening? I was like, relax. We've gotten this before. This is not new, but also like, what is going on?
But it's exciting.
Yeah. Like, Rep's in the room again. It's back. We just said it was gone. It's here. No, it's not. I spent all day today being like, relax. It's not here. We've been here before.
And you know where else we've been before is doing math with things that add up to 6, but the 6s are sixing.
Sixing. Yeah, that was the first thing I noted after I posted the video. I was like, on Hulu's account, it says like they release it every week, and it says like release date May 20th. 6 days before the AMAs. Coincidence? I don't know. It feels like a coincidence because, again, how would these things line up so perfectly when we just talked about earlier in this episode about like, Memorial Day is a new thing for the AMAs and all that. So it's like, how would this line up? But it did. And that's not the only 6.
Look What You Made Me Do is the 6th track on Reputation. Bum, bum, bum.
The sixth
It also
album.
has 6 words in the title, by the way. Look what you made me
Yeah,
do.
that's a new fun fact.
The first season of the show started in 2017, which is when Reputation was originally released.
6th track on the 6th album, 6 words in the title, 3rd time being used, 6 days before the AMAs, but Taylor's nominated for 6 awards.
And to bring it all home, it's the show's 6th and final season. The episode number was 9. Reputation's the 6th album. And Getaway Car is the 9th track on Reputation. Where am I going with that? The first time Taylor and Jack played Getaway Car was on May 26th. Again, as we talked about already in the previous part of this episode, that you're all watching this at the same time together, but we're recording this at 2 different times. So that's all just a little bit sus. And then the final note, which again, shout out to Amir because he sent this to us, and I told Ryan not to look until we were recording. This is crazy. Okay. Someone said I might be Delulu, but every time that Taylor played I Did Something Bad at the Eras tour, okay?
3 times, correct?
3 times. August 17th, October 19th, and November 22nd. All right. The dates themselves are not important. The important thing is that the last time she performed it was a night 5. The second time she performed it was a night 2. And the first time she performed it was a night 6. 5, 2, 6.
Wow. Wow.
So if you count backwards from the 3 times she performed I Did Something Bad, the one song that she held out for most of the Eras tour and then all of a sudden decided to play 3 times last fall. A night 5, a night 2, and night 6. Night 5 was Toronto. Night 2 was Miami. Night 6 was London. Could be a coincidence. Could be an AMA's Easter egg.
Wait, it was in order?
No, you have to go backwards.
Oh, okay.
London was night 6. Miami, it was night 2. Toronto, it was night 5.
I see. So, yeah.
Yeah. 5, 2, 6 if you go backwards.
If you go backwards. I'm like, not me for once being like, wait. Like, wait a second. Well, I mean, okay. I love that. I really do. I really do. I'm just like, okay, that's definitely like a me thing that I would say. And it's like, what are the odds that Taylor was always going to announce Memorial Day? That's another factor, right? Like, what if, not always, because we think that she was going to announce Rep previous to now and something happened,
right?
Like last year for sure.
The Tortured Poets probably threw a wrench in the original plan for the re-record. She probably didn't realize she was going to end up writing 2 brand new albums during this whole re-record process.
Right. Amongst other things, last year was a chaotic year. But regardless, like since then, when she's like, okay, when am I going to announce Rep, you know, maybe again or whatever. And it's like, what if 5/26 was always on the docket? And then it just happened to be like, oh, she gets the notification in February. That's the date of the AMAs. And she's like, well, that makes things interesting. You know, she was like, well, okay, they're going to love
Perfect
this.
timing.
Meanwhile, I've been plotting the Handmaid's Tale release all along to be at midnight. There will be no explanation. There will just be the Handmaid's Tale at midnight on 5/27. Like, I don't know. I mean, could you imagine though? Like, think about how we all felt last night. That is what I am living for, which I think a lot of Rep TV, you know, peeps are at this point. That's what I want. I want the chaos of like, what is happening? Midnight just happened. And all of a sudden we get, look what you made me do for the 3rd time. Like Taylor's asleep, like stuff's just popping off. Like that is kind of what I want. You know, I want that chaos at midnight. Meet me at midnight.
Me at midnight.
Oh.
So my final question for you is, does this change any of your clowning for the AMAs? From anything that we said in the first half of this episode, have any of your opinions changed?
Honestly, I don't know. I'm like, all I know is Taylor is officially, she was a mastermind before, but now I'm like, she has done an exquisite job between her and Taylor Nation of being like, what's over here? What's over here? What's over here? Like, I don't think we've ever had so many possibilities on the table, which doesn't make any sense because we literally had 6 re-records on the docket at one point in time. And at that time, it could have been anything. And yet I never felt this chaotic, right? Like we're down to the final 2 and yet we have no freaking clue what's going on. And like, it should be easier at this point. And it's like TS12, documentary, Eras Tour 2.0 movie, Debutation 12, AMAs, nothing at all. She might not even show up. Like
a pre-recorded video.
Dude, a pre-recorded video wearing more plaid and a snake. It's like, I don't know. My answer to that is, yeah, it changes everything and nothing at all. TS12 now feels like it's not in the room again. So good work, Taylor. You have really red herringed all of this. Everything's a red herring.
Let us know what you think of all of this. There's so much in this episode to talk about. We cannot wait to hear all of your thoughts. And we especially cannot wait for you all to join us on our live stream after the AMAs on Monday night, May 26th. We'll probably still be on the live as the clock strikes midnight. And the next episode, the finale of The Handmaid's Tale drops, and we see if there's any Taylor songs in that. So come join us, come hang out. And as a reminder, again, our regularly scheduled episode for next week will be the live stream. So if you're an audio listener, we will get that audio out to you as soon as we are able after the awards show and that live stream. So hit that subscribe button so you don't miss anything and put your clown noses on.